Welcome to the Diet Lunch Break. We're here at Yanni's, little local spot, and I'm here with Scotty Kemp. You may be wondering why that's the case. Scotty Kemp's coming back to the Ironmen. For those of you who have been living under a rock or not following paintball for a little bit, Scotty Kemp's had a pretty much long, illustrious paintball career. Started with the Los Angeles Ironmen back in the day. We played together on Excessive for a couple years. Then you came back to the Ironmen, 5 strong years on the Ironmen. Then went to San Antonio X Factor, helped them win a World Cup. But now you're coming back to the Ironmen. What are your thoughts on all this? You know, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time now. You're 30, still you're physical.
29.
29. All right, sorry, 29. Still real healthy. You're a physical trainer in your regular life. It's been a pretty crazy career for you, man. Ups, downs. You blew your ACL out at one point in time. You had to come back from that. I mean, and you're still here doing it. And now coming back to an Ironman team that I think has a really good chance next year to better the performances that they had, and honestly potentially win a tournament when you really look at who they've played and how they lost to those guys, those top level teams, the teams that were winning tournaments. But let's just start with what you're feeling right now. Like, how are you feeling about this move? I mean, this is your, again, third time on the Ironman here.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to start this new chapter in my career. The team's good. They have a lot of good talent, great kids on the team that can win, but I think that they just need more experience, and I think that that's what I can bring to the team is some more experience and knowledge and confidence to those guys. They're right there. They're beating really good teams. They can go toe-to-toe with anybody, but I think that they just need that little extra confidence and experience on the team to try to just bring them to the next level.
Well, if you were looked at what happened throughout the season, they were, like I kind of said in the beginning, they'd play the teams in the lower part of the division and beat those teams, sometimes beat them up really bad. And then they'd play the Dynasties, the Heats, the Impacts, and lose mostly by a couple points, 1 or 2 points. If you go back, look at World Cup, yeah, they went 1-3 in the prelims, and for the first time in, at least in the current incarnation of the NXL, didn't make Sunday. But at that same time, they really gave competitive games to Heat, lost by a point, lost by 2 to Dynasty. Those were really close games. And when you look at the composition of the roster, for the most part, those guys are all in their late teens, early 20s, with the exception, obviously, of now yourself and Mike Paxton and Shane Pistana.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're talking about really raw
talent. Really raw talent.
And so the fact that they got that far already bodes really well for the future. And also when you break it down strategically and tactically as far as the positions on the field and what those guys are doing in those positions, I think picking up a guy like you who could help on either side of the field, because you've been, when you first came up, you came up as a snake guy. You were a snake guy on Excessive for a while.
My first position was front snake guy.
So you've played all these positions, and now you're heading on to a team with a bunch of talent in those ones positions, or those first attackers.
Yeah.
Whereas the twos, it's been kind of tough to get that's where it's kind of been falling apart. Mid-game situation, close game, decisions need to get made, and the right decision necessarily isn't always made in those clutch, those crucial points. And since you've been on so many of these top-level teams over the year, talk to me a little bit about how important that. Because it seems that's where the Ironmen are winning or losing, or their tournament's either ending or continuing on, is in those instances.
That mid-game. I've been playing 12 years of pro now, and I've won a lot of tournaments on a lot of different teams, and I've learned a lot from a lot of different people, from Excessive to Ironman when I first joined in 2004, and I was a rookie to the pro division.
You've been that kid. Because you were that kid on Excessive.
Yeah.
You were that kid on Excessive where we're like, oh man, Scotty's so good, but he just doesn't make the right decision sometimes. Yeah. And then slowly but surely, you worked your way. So you played the 1 and you played the 2. The 3 is a little bit different. I mean, the 3 and the 2 are kind of very close positions. The back player, the mid player, this is very close. But now you're heading into this team where. And also and this is no BS just because you're sitting here, you've always been a really likable guy. Everyone that has been on teams with you, everyone's like, you're a good camaraderie guy. Yeah. And I think that that's a good thing. I think your experience is a good thing. And I think that the Ironmen really, when you break again down those positions and who they have, Vidulich and Ibarra, very talented. Brandon Cornell is going to be healthy again after blowing his shoulder out a ton. They don't have CC, but having another guy on that D side, I think you and Brandon would be a great 1-2 combo on that D side of the field.
Yeah, and the main thing that I think I can bring to the table is really just that experience, because they have the raw talent. And like when I was coming up in the pro division, it's all about learning from the older guys who have the experience. When I first joined Excessive, and I'm listening to you and John Richardson and Rusty and taking in as much as I can, and I don't know all the Ironman guys that well, but from what I've heard, you know, all those kids, they just want to get better and they just want to learn, and I think that we're going to gel really well together, so I'm excited.
Did you get a chance to work with Shane back in the day?
Yeah,
I can't remember if you were on the team when Shane was around.
Yeah, when I won World Cup on the Ironman, Shane was coaching us. So
you worked with Shane
I've
before?
worked with Shane. Yeah, I had him for 2 years before he stopped. But yeah, Shane is amazing guy to work with. And I've learned a lot from him, and I'm excited to see what else I can learn from him now as the game's changed and time has gone on.
You know, you have the big money teams, which are, you know, have the ability and the resources to get the best guys out there at that given time and to, you know, really let them live that paintball dream.
Right.
Then you have the other mid-level teams. When I say mid-level, I mean by resources.
Right.
You know, and Dynasty goes in that mode, but Dynasty just pulled off a huge win in World Cup. You know, the Ironmen don't have the resources that, say, Heat and Impact does, but at the same time, even given all that, when the Ironmen play Heat and Impact, those are good games. And the crazy thing is, you look at the years of experience on Heat and Impact, and you look at the years of experience on the Ironmen. I just think that the cap, that like how good the team could potentially get for the Ironmen, is really high, and I think that, you know, when you look at any sports team, you got a bunch of young guys on the team. You always need leaders. You need guys that have experience, guys that when things are going bad or things are going good, they know what to say. They know they've been there before. They've seen it a bunch of times. And I think that it's a really good sign for the Ironmen to get a guy like you to come on, particularly because in that second attacker position, it's just not a lot of experience in that position. So I'm pretty stoked to see what's gonna happen with the Ironmen, because they're, you know, I played on the Ironmen for 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely have a little soft spot in my heart for that team and their success. And you know, I know you had a good run with the X Factor. I know you're still tight with those guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But kind of opening another new door here. And you've been down a lot of these different roads. But what are your kind of thoughts on the sport heading forward and your own career within the confines of that?
I mean, the sport's evolved so much, you know, since I've been playing, and, you know, you've seen it all, right? I like where it's going right now. I know that we've stepped back, you know, and then we're going forward again. For people who don't play pro and they kind of watch us and follow us and stuff, like, we don't make a living off of paintball. Very few people. There's a small percentage of people that do, and everybody else, they work full time and they have another job that they have to balance outside of that. I love paintball. It's given me opportunities of a lifetime, and I want to keep playing as long as I can, as long as I'm having fun and I'm still good. And I want to keep seeing the sport grow and helping it grow, because we are not making a full-time living playing paintball right now, but I think in time it will. I think it'll get there. It's just going to take time for the stars to align, and it'll be there. And so I just want to help pave the way for the next generation.
Well, and it helps. It definitely helps with having guys like yourself. Because I mean, think back to when I first got on the Ironman, you first got on the Ironman, or any of these. You know, is that it takes guys like you. And I just remember so many of the guys that I looked up to that got onto teams when I was 18, 19, 16 years old as a young kid. And because one day those guys, you know, the Brandon Cornells of the world that are in their late teens, they're going to be 30 one day.
Yeah.
And if they continue to love this sport like they do now, it's going to be up to them to then now be on a team and help guide it along. Oh, just general life lessons too. Not even just about the game of paintball, but that's the special thing about the sport, you know, is that paintball is not going anywhere. Every division, it's essentially the same story. And the Ironmen, these are divisional players that are now pros, that are now hanging with some of the best teams in the world that 3 years ago, that wasn't even on the radar. You know, it wasn't on the radar, which props to Shane Pistana for bringing the royalty guys up, and props to those dudes for putting the work in and their own personal talent levels and the hard work they did clock in on. But I think it's going to be a good year. 2016, I think is going to be a good year for the Ironman.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm stoked you're back. I'm stoked just in general about the top level of the sport. I think we're going to have a very charismatic and badass year, man. It's going to be sweet.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.
I'm excited.
Well, hey, man, thanks for sitting down with me. We're going to get into our lunch right here, and thank you.